Hello and welcome back to Talking Pitch Side. I'm your host PJ with my co-host Tony as always to cover all things MLS and U.S. men's national team here. Very Leagues Cup heavy podcast, transfer heavy podcast we have for you guys today. We'll probably be lighter on like the lengthwise as the last one was just because of the lack of content right now before we start ramping up again. But we do have some fun transfer news to kick off this episode, Tony. Out of nowhere, left field.
Zero
This,
rumors.
this is peak MLS at its finest right here. Alexis Sanchez signing for CF Montreal, former Arsenal and Manchester United player, been playing in Sevilla for La Liga for a little while now. I mean, 37 years old. Like this is peak MLS retirement league status stamped on it with a signing like this. But it's like the weirdest location for someone like this to go to. This is like what's the polar bear doing in Texas meme? Like that's Alexis
Yes,
Sanchez on the CF
literally
Montreal team.
Yeah.
And so it's a bizarro signing. It's why I love this league because you just get one of these every once in a while, and it's like that's a name I've heard in a while. And why is he going to Montreal? So you got the fun combo there. Before we get into like team fit, let's just talk. I mean, give me your reaction. What's just the reaction of this name? I mean, you're an Arsenal guy, so an Arsenal
Yes.
legend there, and getting him in the league. But at this point, like we don't really know what we're getting from him. But just like the name and the status of like how random this was entertaining in itself to get that update on your phone.
I think if you just look at the comment section of these announcements, it says enough, which is essentially kind of what everyone was thinking was, oh, so he's not retiring. He's still going to play. Oh, he is still playing. I thought he was retired. Like it's kind of in that thread. Obviously, like at the peak of his powers, he was a fantastic player. I honestly, he's fallen all the way off the radar that I don't even know if, like, I can't tell you if he's still like kind of got it or not. I really do not know. But I would think we'd hear about it.
Itself.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I think we would hear about it if he did have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess it's good for Montreal. I mean, they're doing something. They're making the news. They're making the news, and it's not. I mean, it could be worse. They've made the news for worse things. So,
Yeah.
this is by getting a DP that's actually like a player you recognize. I think honestly is, I mean, at least a little bit of a step forward for Montreal. I think we'll look at it that way. It's no Drogba. I mean, when Montreal was truly going crazy, but I mean, hey, it's something.
Yeah.
It's
So
really,
I mean, really, over time, I mean, what he was known for in his heyday. I mean, like you just look at like the team list he's played for. It's utterly ridiculous. I mean, you got Barcelona, Arsenal, Inter Milan, Sevilla, like all of these teams that he's played for, and was really a pacey winger in his heyday. Like that's what he was. Was like his pace is what was like his weapon, along with his scoring ability, and has had to really transform into like a different type of attacker because of like he's 37. He's
yeah.
doesn't have the pace anymore. So he's really like a fox in the box more type guy is what I was reading on a little bit before we got on these days where he needs service to really provide for this team. Which I mean that's I think probably our biggest concern with Montreal. I'm so interested to see how he's going to fit up top with our guy. So I don't really know how this fits. I don't really care. I think for Montreal, like they are what they are. This is just going to be entertaining. Like this for me is very equal to James Rodriguez in Minnesota. Like that's how I'm viewing this. Where it's like,
Yeah.
if you get something out of it, you get something out of it. Like Montreal was probably not doing anything regardless, so it's more like here's at least a storyline when Montreal comes to town. It's like, oh yeah, Alexis Sanchez is on Montreal now, kind of like that. We had that the other night and against Pumas Cincinnati, where we're like, oh, Keylor Navas is in goal. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Like
Yeah,
that's
I
funny.
remember him. Yeah.
So I think from that perspective, I'm gonna wait and see to kind of get my judgment on what he is. I mean, he is a DP, so it's not like this is cheap in terms of like salary, and he was a free like signing, so the salary has to be decent for him to be on
Right.
DP status. I'm just interested to see how this is gonna go. I don't really like this feels like a year from now he could be gone, and like that's that's the end of that. Like that's what this one has written all over it. But you never know. And for us, our talking heads, like at least we get the storyline as to talk about with Montreal because there wasn't much to talk about before something like this.
Yeah, and so kind of going more on the scouting report of what Alexis Sanchez looks like today. I think that like you said, he used to be more on prolific on the wing. It seems like he's shifted a little bit more towards a striker role now. One thing that I'm looking at just with basic stats on FOTMob is that in the last 365 days, he's in the 91st percentile for touches and 94th percentile for chances created. This is for a guy who appeared in 28 games in La Liga with Sevilla the last year, and not the most minutes off of that, only 1,300 minutes. So a lot of that's kind of off the bench appearances. But I do think that you throw that in the mix with Montreal, this is the other side of having a guy like him come to Montreal. This could certainly not work, but because it's Montreal of most places, and this is I really don't like dragging him like this, but it's probably an improvement.
Yep.
And so when you look at it that way, it's like, hey, Montreal went out, got a DP, and improved. If you told me those things in the just blindly that this is what their transfer window looked like, I'd say, okay, good for them, And I think we still have to hold that position, even if it's a 37-year-old that we don't even know if they'll be around for the sprint season or how much they'll really play for Montreal. That's another big part of it, is I'm sure that Montreal is going to ask him to play as much as he can, and what kind of gas does he have left in the tank, because he was really not playing a whole lot for Sevilla, or really large chunks at a time. So all things to consider here. Overall, I guess it's better than what we expected from Montreal, which was nothing. So this is a fun little story, kind of a meme, but maybe maybe he'll be the last one laughing. I could just see now, first game back, and he gets a brace or something, and then all the haters are silenced. Oh crap, we're watching out for Montreal now. That would be fun. I'm kind of rooting for that.
Yeah,
it's hard to think that would get there, but I'm rooting for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, Montreal can make some people sweat at least, going forward, and when they're hey, we got to play Montreal this week, if they now have to be concerned with the two guys up top, that. If this goes well, that's what it could be. It's hey, Montreal, we're gonna be able to score, but you got to be careful. You're not going to drop three behind. They're going to drop three on you as well if they get that attack going. So who knows? Maybe it works. Maybe this is just a fun storyline. We'll see. We'll stay in tune with it. Another signing here I want to touch on was Vancouver. They went out and got a U22 initiative center mid, essentially filling the Berhalter role with this one. I'm not even going to try with the name. Alaska is the first name, I think. Vechkovic is what I'm going to pronounce the last name. I think that's pretty close.
Yeah.
So 21-year-old box guy. With his team he's been on at Bogart, he's made 73 appearances. Tom Bogart's reporting. So we don't really know much. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know this guy, how he plays. But it's a decent fee. I mean, 1.5 mil for the transfer fee for a U22 midfielder. You've got to imagine they're hoping this guy over the next year starts to get some first team starter minutes and turns into what Sebastian Berhalter was to some degree in terms of what he can provide. Because with him gone, they just needed depth at the very least, and that's what he's going to provide for them.
I'm going to try Kvechkovic. I think that's.
Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with that C. If you're a listener at home, it's a CVET
to
start. So
I could be wrong too. That's just kind of what it looked like to me. Anyways, I'll pair this too with the other rumor I don't think we've talked about, and it's not reported, it's not final, but apparently Daniel Gazdag is also in conversations with Vancouver right now too.
Yeah.
And the reason I want to pair that though is because we're talking about a midfield overhaul for Vancouver at a weird spot in the season, and obviously Sebastian Berhalter left some really big shoes behind to be filled. Again, not familiar with Kvechkovic's game enough to know whether or not that's something that he's going to be able to do, or at least be able to jump right in and do. You would think, being a U22 initiative, that Vancouver has some belief in him in a little bit more of the longer term sense. than necessarily right here, right now. So I think that's part of it. And then, talking about bringing in Gazdag, I think like kind of pushes some things around too in that midfield. Gazdag maybe not as defensive as an 8 as Berhalter was, but I mean if you're looking at kind of the attacking thing, I think that if you don't have Mueller in, like Gazdag's your guy. Like I think that's a very big depth piece. Now if the two are playing together, well then maybe they go single pivot with Alexa. So I it's just really interesting things, potentially opening some doors to the midfield, potentially maybe rolling the dice a little bit in a spot where Vancouver's in a strong spot in the Western Conference right now. It's really kind of shaking up the spine. Obviously, Berhalter left and on a good fee, and like they knew the timing. Like not entirely surprised. It's hard to plan for stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it does feel like I'm glad that they got replacements. They're being proactive with this. We can say that Vancouver tried to replace Berhalter, and really the question is now, like with these replacements or potential replacement as well, is that going to work? Is that going to fit? Time will tell. It's a very clear system in Vancouver that players usually glue to pretty well, but it just this is a big, like I guess I'm saying all this to say like Sorensen's really going to have to prove himself. Like this is going to prove the system very much so. Like Wilfried Nancy was proven because a lot of these players kind of kept cycling out when they got their big moves, and Nancy still had a really powerful team because the players fit the system. Now it's Jesper Sorensen's turn because Berhalter's out. Can somebody else come in? Can they fix that? Can they plug that hole? Can they keep it rolling? That's the kind of where I'm at with this is where rubber meets the road with I think a lot of the trend of what we'll see of Vancouver here pretty soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I think this U22 probably feels a more natural like formation. Like if he were to start and replace a Berhalter, like that's a more natural fit to how they've been playing. But it would be interesting to have that depth piece in Gazdag where it'd be like, hey, we can play in a much more attacking role if we want to with him and Mueller on the field at the same time, which I think would be interesting to see. But
yeah,
we'll see if they really shake it up that much in the middle of the season. We'll see. Okay, well, Tony, not many other transfer news. I think we'll get into some Leagues Cup action here. Talk about some games. Talk about like who's going to go through, what the most likely outcomes are going with. But I think we've got to start with one game, and we talked about it in the pre-show, and that was Portland Timbers versus Club America. Not even necessarily what happened on the field. I think an expected result on the field in terms of Club America taking down Portland. Where a lot of the drama came was after the game. So Club America wins 3-1. If you're watching the game, we talked about it. There's images. You want to go look it up. Where the stands were just Club America. Like it was probably 80% Club America fans in Portland. Like we're talking about all the way up in Portland, which respect to Club America fans because that's no short hike to get up there in Portland. Yeah. And then Velde came in the post conference and let's just say he wasn't happy. He was not a happy camper with that result of the fans and the lack of support. Let me quote him here really quick for you, Tony, in response to a question about the atmosphere. And I quote, shit, 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 shit. I've never seen anything like it. Just an all-time quote right there.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the video, it's great. I mean, he's pissed. Like he's so mad. And it's coupled. They just got their ass kicked, and it probably wasn't fun to get cheered in your home stadium every time you allowed a goal. Is where a lot of this is stemming from. If they win, he's probably not doing this. He's probably not even acknowledging it. And I don't blame him. Like, it sucks. I think if you're a Portland fan, you probably are a little bummed that this happened. But, like, this goes back to our conversation of last episode. Like, the reason to care about this tournament, I think, is low and why teams and fans should care. Especially for a team like Portland. Did Portland win their first game? I can't even remember.
I thought they did. I like Kevin Kelsey.
I guess this was an important game. I didn't know if they had lost.
Yeah, they won one, lost one. Yeah.
So I'm sure that the players and the front office are disappointed that they didn't get as much support because I mean, if they beat Club America, they're in a really good spot to move on. So, a lot of frustration, but it was more entertaining from a neutral perspective to see
Yeah,
the conference after.
that I want someone to make the Bleacher Report like quote graphic for his response. Like I just want to see one of those graphics of like just his face, and then
For the
it was
listeners,
like,
Tony said that right as I was taking a sip, and I almost spit
yeah,
out.
I, I thought the keyboard was about to get fried there for a
Yeah,
second.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So please, someone, please work on making that for me if you could. That would be a generational reaction meme, I think. But I mean, as far as this goes, the saying is, and I think it definitely rings true. Um, people say the most popular soccer team in the United States is Club America, like
yeah,
just in terms of fan following, and so. They travel obviously really well. There's a ton of fans. Portland's no exception. You see the pictures, you see the videos, like even just watching highlights and stuff. Like it is a sea of yellow in that building, and like they're going to do that most places they go. Chivas also does that most places they go. They came to Cincinnati a few years ago, and I remember it feeling like an away game. Like there are just a
yeah.
couple of really large fan bases that travel well, and that's kind of their mo. So Club America certainly took advantage of that one. They've been taking advantage of this tournament. They've been one of the few Liga MX teams that has not looked phased by these games and really taking care of business. They'll surely be through to the knockout or the round two or phase two or whatever we're calling it, based on their two wins and how the rest of the Liga MX has been performing. So, I think that definitely frustrating from a Portland perspective. Also, just pretty unfortunate that they drew Club America of all teams. There's only a few kind of like if you don't have the Gigantes, then you're really plugging through. So that's just a tough draw from Portland, and I guess next time you got to try a little bit harder in the regular season, so that way you don't end up in a draw like that in the League's Cup if you're that upset about it. I guess. So.
Hmm.
That's really all I have to say on this one. That I think Club America was certainly the better team in this one, and maybe that's part of the frustration too, is just knowing that they weren't all the way equally matched.
Totally. Yeah, it's unfortunate for Portland. I think coming into this, everyone thought they would lose that game, so it's not surprising. But I think it was entertaining to see their reaction to the crowd atmosphere. But Tony, let's get into some results here. Let's go through the list here of round two in total and just talk about maybe some results that we were a little bit surprised by.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go with one of the layup ones here. I'm going to go with one that I think. Well, it's Vancouver, so I'm just going to say Vancouver and Juarez. It was surprising because Juarez isn't like a fantastic team. They're not in League MX, and Vancouver lost their first game, so you were like, oh, they were like when I first saw the scoreline because I did not watch this game live. I was like, oh, they probably rotated, and didn't really care about this game. They played like most of their guys, and got their butts whooped at home. Like I was shocked by that, and watched it back, and it was ugly. And I don't know. I'm gonna chalk it up for them. Like I think maybe care after that first game, especially of this tournament, may just be low, but. I was just surprised. Like I think I just had higher expectations for a team like Vancouver. We've seen them go on
yeah,
deep runs, like we saw with Concacaf Nation or Concacaf last year. We've seen them do it in the MLS playoffs. Like I just expected them to take this serious, try and win a trophy, and I, I'm gonna chalk it up to probably the timing of Berhalter and everything with them kind of thrown off their groove, and definitely a disappointing couple games here for Vancouver in this tournament.
yeah. I would say in the tournament, but also like we can
Leading up
string
to it.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could string together like the MLS matches leading up to since the World Cup. I mean, like this since coming back, they lost at Cincinnati, they drew at Vancouver or at Minnesota, they drew at hosting LAFC, and then lost to Atlante and lost to Juarez. Which, by the way, that Atlante team they just got wiped by RSL,
Yeah.
like just
Yeah.
wiped. And again, after you lose one game, do you give up? I mean, maybe a little bit of mentality stuff there, though. But if you watch that game, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but lots of fights breaking out in that one, the RSL Atlante
Uh-huh.
game. It looked like Atlante still cared. Anyways, all that to say, Vancouver has been on this kind of dry spell since getting back from the World Cup. It seemed a little bit flat. I think availability has been a little bit of a carousel. Obviously, Berhalter did not join the team back up after the World Cup, so that's a big piece of it. But even like Mueller, Brian White, Ryan Gauld, all in the fold, but not very consistently back-to-back games, especially Mueller. So there's a little bit of that going on for me, where it seems like they just haven't kind of found that continuity. And again, kind of circles back to the new midfield conversation of like rubber's going to meet the road here real quick. Like backups are here, the reinforcements are here. Um, is this going to take a grip, or what's the trajectory of Vancouver right now? So, yeah, I think it's been shocking to see how they've done in Leagues Cup just in a vacuum. But if you look at their overall form, I mean, this is a team that struggled quite a bit. And so to throw Liga MX teams at them in a lot of ways also doesn't feel that surprising that they've kind of struggled
Hmm.
and continued that form.
Yeah, I think it's also like double disappointing because there was other teams we talked about last episode that were like, hey, they're continuing their MLS form, and it's not necessarily surprising. Like we talked about Nashville, it comes to mind. I'm going to talk about
Yeah.
Seattle, comes to mind. But both those teams, after their first loss in this tournament, came out and whooped on the teams they played in the second game. So, like, they don't really have an excuse like the same excuse as other teams because they bounce back quick. So, I think that's where I'm a little being a little like critiquing of how they
Yeah.
played in this one and how seriously they took it because you don't know. I mean, what if a bunch of MLS teams lost and you could have won this game and then been in prime position to move on if you won the third game? So definitely disappointing. Any what's another result that stuck out to you? I'll let you lead this one.
Okay, well, I mean, Cincinnati Pumas, fun. Pumas is garbage. I'll go alt on this, though. Uh, Tigres drawing Minnesota. I
Mm-hmm.
think that one, especially, I believe it went out to penalties and Tigres still won that. Was that game in Mexico? Oh, no, it was uh, at Minnesota. It just shows Tigres being the home team for some reason. Either
I
way,
think
oh, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
it does it out of technicality for the how the tournament works. Said, but yeah,
So Minnesota was a away team in their own building.
yes.
Genius tournament, by the way,
Yeah.
guys. Um, yeah, I thought that was a little bit different. I mean, not different. Like Minnesota, kind of same deal. They have been pretty cold, no pun intended, and they just haven't really strung it really together. This has been a season a little bit where the wheels have kind of fallen off a tad, and so to draw a team like Tigres, I know they still lost some pens. But I think that like if you look at that the right way, like you could use that as a confidence booster. Say we didn't play the worst game. This is a really good Tigres team. I don't think they gave it their all, but like you got to find the things that kind of give you the momentum to roll, and Minnesota needs to use this game for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it time and time again with tournaments like this. Like, it feels like there's always one or two teams, whether it's usually probably one of the teams that like go deep, like into the finals or win it. Usually get like a little boost going into the second half here after like they win a trophy, and you're like, okay, you feel everyone's really confident, we're moving forward, and you kind of get a little boost into the MLS season. That's why I appreciate I think there's a decent amount of MLS teams that are taking this pretty seriously, which I didn't expect. Like I
Yeah,
really didn't expect, and a lot of teams are playing legitimate lineups, and I think Minnesota can be one of those teams that can take something like this and use it as a boost to the second half of the season. It looked like Minnesota of old, the shutting out Tigres and letting counter them and get after them a little bit. So I did appreciate it as well. I think the biggest one we haven't touched on yet, Tony, was Inter Miami finally
yeah,
losing a game. They lose to Monterey. The MLS boys and Kuipers and Rossi both get a goal in this
crazy.
one for Monterey.
Yeah,
Uh, it feels so bizarre seeing those guys play on that team together. Like it doesn't look right. Um, and Messi's not playing. Miami rotated, like kind of rotated some spots, but still played like Casemiro and I'm blanking on DePaul.
Mm.
And DePaul scores. By the way, had pulled off his jersey, had a Messi jersey underneath his jersey.
Double
Wearing
jersey,
double
whole
jersey
game.
is a crazy move.
Yeah,
Crazy move. Hot too. You're playing
very
in
hot.
Miami, like
Yeah,
that's a crazy move. So that was interesting to see how they responded to not having Messi. It just felt like they were missing like a punch at any point
yeah.
in that second half, and it's exactly what he's going to provide. And we didn't see Bertarame in this one. Still, of course, he's dealing with that head injury.
Yeah, I was gonna
Is
say
have we
is
gotten any word on like where he's at?
uh let me check one spot where I might be able to find it quick.
But I mean, besides that, they played a pretty like serious lineup,
Yeah.
and really went for it. And because of the format of the tournament, are kind of now out of it, like in reality. So it's interesting to kind of like the best teams we would consider in
Uh,
the MLS Eastern Conference, especially, aren't really going to be showcased at all in the knockout stage here in the MLS. Like it's a lot of middle tier teams, which is funny. I think that goes into our conversation of, hey, these are teams that are seeing this as their opportunity to win a trophy, and they're going to go for it and try their best. And yeah, are they probably going to meet like a Club America in the final or a Monterey or someone like that? Yeah, but like if you get to the final, it's just 90 minutes, and you don't really know from there. And if you have a chance to win silverware in a year, I think you're seeing a lot of these middle tier teams try and go for it, which has been entertaining.
yeah, I agree with that. By the way, I did look up Bertarame, and there's no news. One of the first hits I get is a Yahoo saying he did not die. So
Oh,
that's
oh, thank God,
thankfully.
thank God.
I don't think they've really given any kind of timetable or return date. All the news I'm looking at is basically 2 weeks old from when it happened or the day after it happened when Miami released their statement saying that he's stable. So yeah, I would not think that we're going to see him probably soon,
Yeah, I
based on
mean, we
what it
didn't
is.
see him or Suarez up top, so they were really missing like a punch up top. This was the big
Yeah,
thing with the team, and Allende's still out. Like they're down a ton of like front guys, like in Messi, those two, and Allende. Like
yeah,
that's just a combo that's going to be hard to overcome, even with as good of a midfield as they have. So uh, that felt like that was really the reality that set in with this one.
yeah. But to your point, as far as like kind of seeing the level of competition pop out, it does seem like to me a lot of teams, MLS teams, kind of rotated some and stumbled into that first win because Liga MX is just kind of in a weird point in their season, and also rotated some. And then after that, when you're kind of like, well, we got over that first hurdle, maybe we should start running now. We started to see the temperature kind of turn up on the intensity of these games. And like I mentioned, like RSL had a really chippy game, but you've been seeing that in a lot of these games too, which has been a bit surprising to me. A lot of these kind of flare ups and kind of like not mass confrontations, but kind of gatherings where there's 5 to 10 guys jawing off at each other and in each other's faces, like a lot more of that than like normal. Like that, this is not like a MLS regular season, occurrence rate. So I think that it has picked up some. I think that honestly, like maybe the first round and just all those results has kind of pissed off the Liga MX guys a lot too, of just like the league comparison and all of that stuff. So it feels like there's been some fight in it, which has been a pleasant surprise. Um, you know, Obviously there's a handful of teams we could rattle up off and just say, yeah, I mean they're throwing this out and like whatever. I think that like you sort of have that in this competition anyways. The way it's set up, like I think if I did my math right, statistically, out of the 36 teams in it, I think like 8 were eliminated already. It's like 2 MLS teams and 6 Liga MX teams. So I mean, not the worst deal here. I am a little bit worried though after kind of like the Tuesday results. How much is things going to be settled out and make Wednesday and Thursday a little bit pointless. A little bit to watch there. I think that obviously there's plenty of angles to critique this Leagues Cup. Anything that we say here is not going to be new. You've heard all those critiques, but I think we can agree that like this is still a competition that needs tweaking, regardless. Like if it's going to happen every time, like every year, I still think there's updates that need to be done to it. There needs to be a little bit more incentive and competition and less kind of dead rubber matches. So, but I think for what it is, we've had fun with it. We've had fun little stories. Kevin Sullivan, by the way, his stock because of these last few games is shooting up. Like him scoring, also him taking responsibility for losing to a Liga MX team. Pretty electric. Love that. So yeah, there's been little things like that where it's like, okay, these are fun takeaways. We'll see if they can carry it on into the next season, but into the rest of the season. But it is what it is. It's the hand we've been dealt. So we're just gonna watch these games.
Yeah, other one to note that we won't necessarily dive fully into. I mean, we talked about RSL briefly. That was a significant result for them. Besides that, I think you have. I would say the one I was most disappointed by was Orlando. Honestly, I thought Orlando was going to be able to do something tournament. Like I don't know if you're going to see like a Griezmann run, like it was similar like the Messi run when he started that first year with this team. And I thought they could have taken down Leon at home, and they came up short in that one. So that was a little disappointing to me. But
just disappointing for their season. Like
yeah.
that was where you make something out of it, and it fell on their face.
Dallas beating Chivas was cool too. That was a big result for them. Really played defense a lot in that game, and Farrington gets the goal to win it. So that was a great result for them against one of the giants in Liga MX.
Yeah, and LAFC getting their win at Toluca, right? I mean, that's a huge upset on the road in Mexico. LAFC's pulling that off. So, because that one was in Mexico. Or no, dang it, that was in LAFC too. I thought Toluca was hosting all their games because they had won the last or won CONCACAF or something. No, I guess not. Well, still an important result. Toluca's a tough team, so we'll jog it up there. Gosh, I hate how they line this up. What a tournament.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into the table here really quick before we head out here in a little bit. So we talked about it briefly. We're going to cover just like the MLS side of things because we can't give you in-depth results on how it's going to shake up with Liga MX. But we have a lot of MLS teams that are on 6 points right now, and we don't have enough spots to go around. Top 4, correct? I'm correct in saying that. Mm-hmm. So top 4 move on, and right now there are 6 teams that are on 6 points, which is funny because in comparison there are 4 teams in Liga MX that are on 6 points, and besides that the highest is 3. So it's like there's no one like close. So it's really going to be probably Leon, Cruz Azul, Juarez, and Copa America that move on for them.
Yeah,
unless Juarez like lose and someone else that has won.
So Tigres is on 4. Tigres is on 4. They've had 2 games, 2 penalty wins.
I thought they lost. Oh yes. Sorry.
Yeah. So if they win and one of those top 4 slips up, they can get through on 7 points. So they could sneak in there. And honestly, it'd be a little bit more fun if one of those smaller names got bumped off the hill there.
Not if FCC's going to move on because I want a trophy. So
that's true. Or this is the redemption. This is it right here where they can. That would be. And see, this is okay. Circling back to our last conversation, this is the thing where it's like, okay, Cincinnati versus Tigres in a knockout game. We've seen this before, like with more familiarity.
To us.
Yeah,
I still argue it's to us.
To us, yes, but also, but like, how hard is it? Like, it's an easier sell to people to say like this was a crazy game. Like they will be taught. Like if that game happened, the commentators will not shut up about the CONCACAF matchup a few months ago.
Totally, 1,000%.
Like, and like that's how it's going to be advertised. That's what it's going to be written about, and all the articles. Like that's how it'll be talked about. That's an easier sell than Columbus versus Juarez. You know what I mean? Like that's it's the repetition. Like the bond like creates those rivalries. Like, don't you think Matt Miazga would be begging, to get on that field and lay out Lainez?
Sure, I don't want him on field for my team.
No, that's a separate conversation. That's a separate conversation. But I'm just saying for him, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
No, I agree. I agree. I get the argument. I just now I'm at the point where we have a chance to move on, so I'm like, come on, come on,
yeah,
Juarez, stay
smooth
in there,
off that
Juarez.
path. Yeah, make it nice and easy.
uh,
Yeah,
so we'll see. But MLS side of things, very a ton of teams. So there's 6 teams on 6 points. There's one team on five, 2 teams on 5 point four. No, what am I looking at here? One team on
yeah,
5 points.
yeah, yeah. 6 on 6, 1 on 5, 1 on 4,
One on 4. So legitimately
and then a bunch on 3.
8 teams that are in the mix, truly, to have a chance come to these final days. So it's going to be messy. We have 2 of the top 6 that are on 6 points already have tougher matchups, and that is Dallas against Toluca. We have Austin against Club America, and then Chicago at Cruz Azul. So there's really 3. I mean, those are 3 legitimate matchups for those teams.
Yeah,
That could be hard for them. So that's like a chance for all these other teams, like FC Cincinnati, Columbus, and Charlotte have easier matchups per se. I mean, those teams that they're playing have gotten their butts whooped in all their games. So I think it'd be super disappointing if one of those 3 teams, if you're one of them and you don't move on. So, but all it takes is for Austin to pull off an upset, Chicago to pull off an upset, or Dallas to pull off an upset, and then all of a sudden this thing gets really messy.
right.
So there's a legitimate scenario. Someone's on 9 points and they are not going to qualify for the
That
next round of
is.
the tournament.
And there's also a legitimate scenario that like any of these teams on 3 points, so 9th through 16th, uh, all
Yeah.
it takes is like if the top only settles and there's a 6 point team that gets in. I mean, goal differential, like Nashville, for example, they're at +2 already. If they won, then like just let's just say they went kind of nuclear, had like a +3 or +4 goal differential in the game, so like went to +5, +6. Well, these other teams sitting at 6 points right now are at like +4 and +5, so they could leapfrog them potentially, especially because the 6 point teams have to lose in
Hmm.
order to stay at 6 points. So the goal differential is going down. Like it can really
Yeah.
become a can of worms here if those like if they really start dropping like dominoes.
Yeah, it's
Um,
part of one of my motivations to possibly go to this game tomorrow for Cincinnati
yeah.
because I think it's like they're gonna score and be like, we gotta keep scoring. Like you cannot
Yes.
you can't let like take the foot off the pedal and like sometimes teams get insulted by that, but in a tournament setting like this, you gotta do it.
Right. Yeah. You have to protect yourself. You have to cover it up. So like, yeah. I mean, I do think we're gonna see some goal fest. If there were MLS teams that were showing no mercy there, like, yeah, I think in general, like, we could see some
A little
absolute
frisky.
yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
you can make the same argument for Liga MX too. Those teams are going to look at it the same way and say,
Oh yeah.
maybe it's not 9 points they're chasing, but if 6 gets you into that top 4 spot, but you need that goal differential, like they could pour it on too. So
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to see how many more goals we get in these last few games.
Yeah, it's interesting because in soccer that really doesn't exist. Like taking your foot off the gas, like I guess kind of exists, but like we've seen many score lines where it's like 5-6 nothing, and it's. I feel like in soccer it's widely accepted as like if you don't want them to score, don't let them score. Like
Right.
that's the reality of it. Like there's sports out there like basketball. Like if you're up by like 30 points, it's like, hey, we're not gonna press, we're not
Yeah.
gonna like steal the ball, like let them get the shots
Sub
up,
the
and we'll go
main
back and
guys
forth.
out. Yeah.
And when someone does do it, it gets like people get upset about it, and we'll start fighting about it. And they have the tournament now, the in season tournament in basketball, where point differential matters. So it's like it's one of these scenarios like this tournament where it's like the the old rule book kind of gets thrown out, and their teams are up by like 40, still pushing down the court, and it's
Yeah.
like this is depressing to watch. Um, so yeah, if I'm going to this game tomorrow, I'm secretly hoping that Evander just decides to put
Yeah.
5 past
Single handedly will the
Atlas
team
here.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, it will be interesting. Well, on Thursday when we record, we'll have a much clearer image of kind of how it's all shaking out.
Yeah, we will, because the last games will be Thursday night, so there'll be a few more trickling in. But like I said, I think after the Tuesday round, especially, it'll be kind of pretty carved out as far as what kind of movement we'll still be able to have. Especially, like, I think, let me look at this real quick. I know at least two of the 6 point MLS teams play on Tuesday. One, two, three of the 6 point teams. So half of the 6 point teams play on Tuesday, and that'll really, if all three of those teams win, then the window gets real slim real quick for who can slide in that last spot. And we go from there. So definitely still worthwhile watching, I think, until the fat lady sings, at least on Tuesday. But I could really see some of this not mattering ton. Okay, well, let me take that back. So then Thursday, Austin and Chicago both on 6 points play Thursday night. So they have the final say then. I guess we may have to stay up a little later on Thursday. And
A little live reaction while recording, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, we'll be here to recap it all, preview the semifinal and final matchups that happen in this tournament, and make sure that we get all our previews in, and then we'll get back to regular MLS play, which I think we're all itching for. Get back to a consistent schedule. Partnered with that, I mean, we got things like the Premier League coming back. All of the main leagues are starting up soon, so it's going to be a busy time of year with transfers getting finished up and seeing where people end up getting in and out of the MLS here as teams start to get going.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's time. It's time to get back to MLS. I mean, this has been okay. I think the momentum part has kind of killed me a little bit. I'm like, just got back to what we know, and then it's like, okay, the Leagues Cup break and all of that again. So it's exciting that we'll be talking about more MLS matchups. Got the full slate here coming soon, but we still have some midweek action and should be good.
Yep. Sorry, I'm like dying over here.
I'm like watching like how much longer do I need to ramble until he's done choking. Yeah.
Go ahead and close this out. I'm gonna end it there because I can't talk anymore.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.